Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live right here in the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and 105.3 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have literally been a part of our journey since the very beginning. So thank you so much, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate you so very much. Also, very grateful and honored for Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, for his contribution of time and music for our intro and outro. To check him out anywhere where you can get fantastic music, Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and you have to love Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. He is an award-winning composer and well worth checking out. So please do it. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, for our artwork here at the Art Realm. We appreciate you. So tonight, of course, is, it's what everybody waits for. It's Q&A night. Woo!
Us included.
I know. Get the banner going. Make it official. Ba, 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 ba. There we go. So, so basically, it's what you guys ask for. We're going to try to do this once a month. Yes, they're booked. They're booked. So we're going to do our very best to see them through and make sure that you guys have some content. This is kind of one of those shows where we rant, we rave, we answer questions, we debate, and we just have some fun. But with that being said, yeah, I see people chiming in. There's Wayne and Kira, Janie. Hello. I know. Bubble's all ready to go. So I've got a rant raving. So it's just, we're going to do this. So it's like, okay. So we're starting off with a bit of a rant. And I don't know what we're ranting about because this is Bubbles leading the way. So,
oh, God. Leading the way. Oh, boy.
Well, we'll let you get started. Then I'll get into what I wanted to talk about.
Sure, no problem.
Things out a bit.
I was just going to say that my latest pet peeve, I can't wear gloves because my nails are too long. My latest pet peeve is the live investigations on TikTok.
Okay.
That's my thanks, Tamara. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Kira. Hi, Wayne. Hello, Tamara. That is my biggest one because of the bleed throughs, and they're going live and they're using spirit boxes. Hi, Samantha. And they're using spirit boxes and communication tools. And it's troublesome because anyone can be on TikTok, all ages. And
that's a tough one. That can be tough.
It's different. I'm not saying it's not really different on television, but everything is edited and they have, a censorship that they have to follow. They can't do certain things because of what their age, whether it's restricted, whether it's adults, they have to have their, their disclaimers on their shows and everything and their warnings. TikTok, not so much.
Right.
So when you're doing a TikTok video and you are a paranormal group, you might want to think about constantly reiterating the fact that this isn't for 18 and under, especially if you're communicating through a spirit box. We don't know what you're going to get on the other end, what, types of messages you're going to receive or what you're teaching the audience. I think that we have some sort of responsibility. Yes, it's social media. It's not censored.
I agree with
but you have a responsibility. If you're a group with integrity, you have a responsibility to shelter the younger viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. I don't want to receive emails saying, well, their parents should be no reality. anybody with integrity would be very careful as to what they're posting on social media. That's all I'm going to say. You want to email me, ameliapisano@icloud.com. I'll be more than happy to take your opinions and your comments, as long as they're professional and not rude. I'll respond. But I'm not pointing out a particular group per se. I'm just saying that I'm seeing a lot of this, especially since the Halloween weekend. And I think it's irresponsible in so many ways.
Do you think it has something to do with a lot of the new shows that have been coming on Netflix that we've been watching? I'll give them a shout out because I thought it was pretty decent, which was, what was it, 28 Days Haunted?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I really did as well. And I remember thinking the very first time, because we have people there, they're responsible, they're seasoned researchers, and I thought to myself, oh, this is really popular, and I can just imagine the barrage of people who are going to be sort of going for the same idea. Obviously not 28 days, but maybe going for the same idea. Do you find that this is creating a little bit more than? Of course, it doesn't help because we're in the season as well.
No.
But do you find it's adding to this a little bit? Are you, because you're on TikTok a lot? I don't go on it.
I am
Are you
because I have insomnia, so I'm on it
Yeah, exactly.
constantly,
Yeah.
and I do follow everyone back as long as your account doesn't look cringe.
Right.
But my thing with it is it's not in real time though on television.
Right.
I'm concerned about what the viewer's absorbing from the other end while you're in real time
Mhm.
communicating with what they call the Ouija board demon. And I'm not going to give the name away, even though you've said it 3 times, not you, meaning they've said it 3 times just in the thing. And they're seeking it out. And I think you have a responsibility, regardless of the fact that you're using social media to do this, because any credible producer's not going to want to put you on air. That's all I'm saying. This is something that is dangerous.
Yeah,
You're talking live feeds. Yeah, live feeds. That's what I'm talking about. Not things that, are archived after. I'm talking about where they go into a session live.
This is what we're
on
doing
a
in the
ghost
now
box
sort of thing.
real time on the location, wherever
Right.
it may be, and they're going like head on. Amateurs.
It can be really difficult. Yeah, because you're right. You don't have to really be governed to be on there. It's people who are, some of them are really informative. Others are just, you have people just testing the limit on many things, not just within the paranormal. But I do think there has to be a degree of accountability. Anytime I have filmed in throughout, the years, I've always tried to explain things with a hint of caution or in layman's terms. And I've always been complimented on, like, thank you for explaining it so we understand it, right? Because I'm not coming in with all these technical terms. It was just always in a way where people could understand it. And, I've had parents say, we feel comfortable in having our little bit older children listen to you. It's like, okay, because let's face it, with television, I have no creative control over the series I'm in. They do what they want to do. What's on the cutting room floor is on the cutting room floor. But that, again, is not live.
It's not real time.
But even in the back of my mind, even when we do these shows, because, I did have a really large TV fan base follow me into this. And I thought, this is great. Because I've had people say, oh, yeah, I loved you on this. And I love you guys on this. And I thought, perfect. But what that tells me is that we still have to have that degree of accountability because people have come to expect it. And we have integrity. So we do have accountability. We do have that, I guess, that caution behind some of the things that we present. And we do have disclaimers on our shows. So when people go and look at it, they see, we don't always have to agree
with everybody.
We don't agree with everybody. But then again, we're not fully aware of everything. We're not versed in everything. A lot of times we have guests on, we're learning as well. And we're the first to say, oh, no way. Is that a real thing? We're happy to say we don't know it all. And we are embracing the information, and we'll give you the courtesy of listening to it. But it doesn't mean that we agree with it. And I think bearing that in mind when we see other things that are out there and not so regulated, it's not a bad idea to look at this and go, you know,
Yeah.
we don't agree with
And
this.
I know what's going to happen. I know what the emails I'll receive will say, well, parents are to, to be watching over their children and blah, blah, blah. I mean, let's be real.
Right.
That doesn't happen. We went through this when Facebook came out, when my page came out, all of this stuff. All I'm saying is if you do a live feed, make sure that you have some kind of censorship on it, some disclaimer, continually saying, and be accountable for the information that you're putting out there, because even people with mental health issues watching may repeat this. Remember, when they're on television, they are being watched, they are being censored, as are we.
That's right.
Even here, we're being
That's right.
censored.
We are.
So there's it just, you have to be responsible. That's all I'm saying. I just have a hard time with it because I know it's so easy to fall into that trap. Even myself, I'll see someone with the ghost box and I'll be like, oh, but I am 53.
Yeah.
Okay.
Furball.
So it's a little bit different,
But you're
I
also
have
an
concern for my
intuitive medium.
I also, yes, and I can see what's coming for it's coming, but I'm thinking about the young kids on their phones who maybe don't have a lock on it. And let's face it, TikTok videos are everywhere, not just on TikTok. So don't even go there with me. They're doing Instagram live feeds as well with these things. And I think that there has to be a different place for it. I'm not saying it can't happen. I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you that I would never do it because I would not want to risk anybody's safety. That's just the way we work. In fact, we don't even allow things to be played back in the open. Michelle and I have earbuds on, so we contain everything. And I'm just saying, please, if you're doing them, are they fun? Hell yeah. But please just be careful and be responsible, because there are young viewers, there are vulnerable people, there are people who are easily intimidated. Skimming through their For You page, they don't even have to be following you.
Right.
It just shows up on their page of interest because they have an interest in paranormal. I don't follow many paranormal groups. It just comes up. I follow the ones that I know and people that, Dolly says that's why ET want you to develop psychic abilities. Your intuition teaches you what is truth. Yeah. I'm speaking for the minors. That's all. I'm not saying
they're the ones that they're most intuitive. So they're really impressionable.
They're the ones that are watching these videos, because adults, if they have a fear, as Samantha, my grandnieces, Soph and Lexi have TikTok. Yeah. But you're over them. And Lexi's old enough. I'm concerned about Sophia's age group watching these things and learning about communicating with the Ouija board demon, which we all know a particular television series made him very popular. Get where I'm going?
I agree. I think there's a lot out there that does that.
No, you can't watch everything.
I think you're looking at TikTok as being the latest thing.
It's very entertaining. It's
It
extremely entertaining. I love it. I laugh. I use it to laugh my head off. I follow all the Italian nonnas. You can check my thing. I follow all the grandmothers that cook. I think they're hilarious. It doesn't matter what part of the world they're from. Food is a common language. And I love watching them cook. And those are my favorite videos. But on my For You page comes up, because of my profile reading in the paranormal, comes up these videos.
Yeah, I think if you want to really get into TikTok and learn some really great paranormal stuff, you need to look up Bishop James Long, because he's got a phenomenal show on there. He's been a guest on our show at least a couple of times. Love to have him on again, but he's a huge sensation
on when
now.
we're on.
Yeah, that does not help really. But we have to do a pre-record with him or something. It might be.
He would love that. He would love that.
Because there are responsible people on there.
Yes.
But then it's like I always say, with this field and many other fields, especially those that are considered out of this realm sort of thing, supernatural, you don't need any specific qualifications for, the paranormal, let's say. Well, you will, just because we're talking about this one now, let's use it. So we have the paranormal. We watch a few shows, get a few people together and say, okay, we're a team. I've had so many people through the years come to me and say, oh, can you help us get out there? And we'd like to do group events. We would like to, do something for our community. It's like, oh, absolutely. Do a ghost tour, do things like that. I'm all for it.
Lots of fun.
Then you get, people then start getting into, well, we're going to do some investigations. And I always say, it's great. I love to see people come together, like-minded individuals. But when they're new, I think, because I did it, it's not like I just jumped right into somebody's, living room and said, here I am.
I got really lucky. My first time was with Michelle. I got really lucky.
But, I think they should start off maybe in like public places, get the hang of it, get learning about people. Like, I dabbled in a whole lot of different counseling courses and stuff, just so I can learn how to communicate properly with people and maybe look at their body language and what to say, what not to say. There's an etiquette to this.
Yeah.
And most importantly,
how to say
it.
Delivery is everything.
There is an etiquette to this. And
you're dealing with fragile minds.
You're dealing
they're
with
afraid.
A family unit that, may or may not know what's going on. Because believe me, there are a lot of people out there with the internet and with television. They have a pretty good idea now what is going on, how to get there. Some people can even, get themselves out of situations. I've seen it done. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is you don't really need any licensing or any special training, even though you should have some.
You should have a permit to go on some of those properties. You can be charged with trespassing.
There's a lot of that too. We've seen people die, just being where they're not supposed to be. Buildings are unstable, et cetera, et cetera. But, when you're looking at all of these different possibilities and you lump it all together, you realize that you can go online and get certified just about anything now. And it's unfortunate because then, you have people get certified who are going out and doing interviews and they're not always giving out the proper information. So all I'm saying is due diligence has to come from many different angles, not just TikTok, for example, but the internet itself. When you have a website, when you have, things like this, where you're out there, the Q&As are great. And I think they're popular because if anything, we present food for thought.
Oh, big time. And I just want to say, reiterate that I am not speaking about all paranormal groups. Mm-hmm. I'm not speaking about those that we know their reputations and are really amazing. I'm speaking about groups that people just getting together.
That too. Hello, Dolly. I want to break out in song.
I know, always, right?
I love always want to do it.
Oh, and Tamara, says, I find it amazing that people who have never had experiences want one. Then when they get one and need help, because there's no training wheels for this. I love Steve's comment, fits right in. Mm-hmm. For anybody that's new into the paranormal field, it's always a good idea to take baby steps. First, go on ghost tours, research, learn the pros and cons of investigating. Now I'm going to give a tip to the parents.
Here we go.
Because my niece Samantha said, I can't watch everything she watches. No, you can't, because she's not she's at school. She's, she's doing things. But what you can do when you're on with her, and if she's frightened, all she has to do is go on the bottom of the screen, hit the 3 dots, and it'll say not interested. And you click that and it changes the algorithm. So you won't get those idiots coming through. Right. I mean, idiots, not those people, but I mean like all kinds of, there's some stupid TikTok videos. I'm not referring to the paranormal, like some really stupid. I'm pretty sure that's where it went viral when they were eating Tide Pods. But anyways, I have to watch that kind of stuff. Right?
I just think a lot of this stuff is just designed to dumb us up. You just sit here like this all the time.
Oh, and hours.
It's got informative stuff, and I'm all for the informative stuff. But the type of videos you're talking about, it's kind of like, It's like anything. How many of us sit here like this, you know,
Yeah.
day
You
in and day out, and you're not really doing anything productive with it. I like
know,
to read and do a lot of research.
yeah.
I'm
For
huge into researching and learning.
for me
But
it's an unwind when I have insomnia, and I
sure,
laugh my like they can hear me laughing from downstairs. I laugh so hard.
right,
But I don't go on the For You page. At the
right.
top of your screen, you can slide over to only who you are following so
Mhm,
that you're not being
right,
dumbed down with these videos. You're just following the
mhm,
videos of the people that you're enjoying following, and
right.
not necessarily celebrities. I'm having the greatest time following these two British girls that moved to Toronto a couple months
Right.
ago, and everything's a first for them. So me going through their eyes, their
Mhm,
first Thanksgiving, their first Halloween in Canada, and they
mhm,
describe the differences. They have, I'm sure everybody watching knows who they are, the Collins sisters, because they have been on every television studio program in Toronto that exists. They've
mm,
been on all of them,
mhm,
and they've been invited to a lot of events, and they are so much fun to watch. So if you want
mhm.
something to lighten up your day, watch Christy Collins. She's hilarious.
Yes.
Anyways,
No,
that's a better way to go
there
with
we go.
TikTok.
And we've
If
got
you're
a good
going,
plug.
yeah, if you're
Yeah.
going to watch a paranormal group, make sure it's a group that's well established and has a great reputation. And then you have nothing to worry about because they will not be pulling stunts like that
Mhm,
on TikTok because they are aware.
mhm,
So, my message is just for those of you who are starting off in paranormal groups, please be accountable and responsible for what you are bringing to your viewers.
mhm.
It's not all about likes. You could be turning somebody's world inside out
In a
with
very
what
big
you're
way.
sharing.
And speaking of worlds turned inside out, I recently got an email from someone asking about aftercare, meaning after she had been through a really traumatic oppression with something malevolent coming in the home. I will get into everybody's questions as we move forward a bit. Anyway, she she I guess got cleared, not by us, just somewhere along the line, but she can't seem to let it go. That these are traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
These are people who who feel like they've been held hostage by something. They've watched, bickering in their homes. They've lost people in their lives because that's what these things do. They want to isolate you from people who may be able to help you, people that can talk you down. They want to isolate you because if you're feeling alone, then you're going to probably get depressed, and then it's just easier for certain energies to feed off of you that way. And some people can never really come out of it. So what is proper aftercare? That's a tough one. I remember doing a TV show and working with a psychologist, and they interviewed psychiatrists and all kinds of different professional people as to what their views were on the paranormal and
Mhm.
having patients who were having what they felt were paranormal experiences. One psychiatrist actually summed it up pretty well. He goes, if the medication doesn't work, you try another medication. If the medication doesn't work, he goes, you have to start wondering now what else is going on. So you counsel the patient. This, and the psychologist said the same. We counsel the patient, and if the psychiatrist, because psychologists don't administer or give you prescriptions for medication, if nothing is coming of it, because maybe it is something otherworldly, then they're actually in agreement with people coming in to assist from the paranormal side of things. Whenever I would do that, really hardcore cases, I requested some sort of psychological assessment, and I needed permission from that doctor to be able to move forward with their patient. And I
Mhm.
always got the permission under the condition that if they were on medication, I did not deter them from taking that medication. I would still be encouraging of the counseling, which I always was, because I do believe when you go through something very traumatic, it could cause you PTSD. It could cause you all kinds of things. You need to have aftercare. And with that being said, it's always how I've done things. So what do you do when you maybe have someone who isn't pro paranormal? Because a lot of doctors are very logical. I've been fortunate to work with amazing people who have been open-minded. My own family doctor for years was always super open-minded about things like that, which was really refreshing. So what do you
Amen, it
do?
is.
You don't have that. Because I don't know of any, and chime in if anybody knows of something like I'm going to request here. Um, I don't think they have discussion groups anywhere, counseling for people who have gone through a traumatic oppression or a traumatic
Mm.
haunting.
No, because a lot of times what you get with that, if you're Catholic, you have the priest and the bishop who perform the exorcism who stick around and see to it that you come back to health. So they use the church. If you're
Right.
not Christian, I don't know. That's a tough one, you know. Wow. That's
Mhm.
a really tough one. I had both experiences where I had a doctor who did not believe, and I went through hell and back as a young child.
Right.
And then when I married and moved here, and he just recently retired, I was
Mhm.
fortunate to have someone who was extremely open minded in all things medicine, not just pharmaceutical,
Right.
and who actually writes articles on all new meds that come in, and he is not one, wasn't one to write a script very quickly, and
Mhm.
was open-minded with what I did. He was fascinated by it.
Mhm.
So, you know, I've been lucky that way. I think thankfully we're getting more doctors that are more open, but
Right.
believe that if you find someone in psychotherapy, that I was fortunate,
Mhm.
that does have that belief system in the paranormal, you will be able
Mhm.
to. But again, it becomes ethnicity, it becomes their belief.
You're here, Nicole. You're in one of the designated chats. Okay, there we go. So I am going
Yeah.
to get to everybody in a few minutes. So go ahead, Amelia.
Yeah, no, that's all I was
Right.
saying. Like, I know for me, I was fortunate because she was European and grew up the same way I did. So
Right.
she understood, and it was much, much
Welcome.
simpler. But
Yes.
I don't know. I
Right.
know that someone in television high up there has groups, and he takes care of his guests and all the
Mhm.
people they've helped. And I'll give him that shout out because Zach Bagans is really good about that. He does go back and
He
he
is
does
now.
care for them.
He wasn't
Yeah,
always.
no, but he
I think
is
it's
now.
it's trial and error. You realize sometimes that aftercare is very important. I've
Yeah,
always been into the aftercare. I've had people I've dealt with 10, 15 years ago message me or who I'm still in contact with. Some drop off. Every now and then I'll hear from somebody saying, well, I don't know if you remembered me, but you helped me and I just want you to know we're okay.
yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I love to hear stories like that because it's an education process. And I still take the time to educate people that we're helping just to answer those questions and say, well, this could be why this has happened, or this could be why, or this is probably a good idea if you do this or that, or the aftercare is important. And I find that there's not enough people who do it. I mean, heck, sometimes you can't even get people to investigate without an agenda of having it's all the all about the evidence. We got to collect the evidence attitude, where I think like you hear me say it all the time. It's a privilege to be able to help somebody. If you're truly into this business to help people, then you truly have to help them and put them first. If you're in the business for strictly research, then you may be better suited to do locations or homes for people who have spirits that they just want the evidence. They just want to get to know who their spirit residents are. But when you start getting into really hardcore things, you have to be prepared to be an ear almost 24/7. You have to be prepared for tough questions, for proper advice. If you don't know the answers, connect with somebody who may know those answers. Right.
Hmm.
So it's really difficult, but I mean, it might be a way of starting things. I always try to encourage people to come to one of the Canada's most haunted Facebook pages. Even a lot of people like to talk about their experiences, but make no mistake about it. If you're on a page or a website, and you're being asked to publicly give your story. Not everybody wants to do that. And if you can't get help because you won't do it publicly, something's wrong there. Most places will at least give you the option of saying, okay, well, just email us or just message us privately. Let us know what's going on. Because a lot of people have phenomenal intentions. People have good intentions, but people have different belief systems. People, you're not going to, chances are not necessarily going to get a psychiatrist or psychologist. You may get an experiencer who can say, well, this is what I went through. But people have really good intentions and sometimes maybe giving you the wrong advice. So you might be starting off on the wrong foot right off the bat. When we help people, I stipulate, please keep your story off social media. Good intentions, bad advice.
And you get trolls.
Well, there's that, and it undoes the work that we're doing. It hinders it. So it's really, really difficult. So we'll come around full circle to that. I just don't want to lose. We have 8 different chat rooms, guys. I'm not ignoring everyone. I'm just trying to make my way through all the chat rooms. So we're going to go back a little bit. Comment by Steve.
Steve White, hello. You're so right. Everybody keeps investigating the same places, doing the same thing over and over again. It's kind of just like spinning your wheels. If we all keep doing the same thing over and over again, we're not going to get anywhere in this field because we already know the paranormal evidence is out there. Now we must find a way to move forward.
And again, how do you define evidence? The paranormal field is sort of an unknown certainty. Some things are pretty good, but it's not like we're bringing a laboratory out into the field. We do the best we can, I guess, with the tools of the trade and working with phenomenal mediums. When you can get multiple validations at one location using different techniques, I think it's as close as you're going to get, which sometimes is better than to not getting anything. But, it evolves, right?
Yeah. Hi, Ardua. The primary reason that anyone should have for getting involved in the paranormal is to help others. This is not for the faint of heart and is an entertainment. Well said.
Well said indeed.
Yeah.
All right, Steve.
And Steve says, that's very true. One time I had a paranormal skeptic ask me, can you prove to me that the paranormal really exists? And my reply was, can you prove to me that it does not exist?
Perfect.
It's easier. It's a great statement, but it's easier to debunk than it is to validate.
It's true. Jonathan will get to your question once we can get
he's going to listen and archive. We'll be listening on archive. Hi, Jonathan. Ardua says, I was referred to a psychiatrist who counsels people with paranormal issues. Excellent.
Love it.
I'll give you the information. Thank you.
That's perfect.
So that does exist. I'm happy to hear that.
Okay.
Dolly says, at the very least, we must expect the medical community to be educated in the paranormal. It is a good tool to add to their completely evaluate the patients. Yes, but unfortunately, the science mind doesn't believe. They will give it a mental health issue title rather than tell you it's paranormal.
Well, there is a fine line between them, and I think that's what needs to be determined. I know there are mediums out there now who are also or go on to be psychologists who incorporate their ability into the counsel of their patients, which apparently this new method is something that people are raving about because they get it. They can read them, they can understand, they can validate some of what they've been through. I think it's great. It's a great mix if you're willing to, to put that on your resume sort of thing.
Doreen, hi. Should have group or family counseling regarding PTSD before and after intervention. You should also have follow-ups, resources from paranormal groups. Yeah,
you can.
Maybe it'll change. Maybe things will evolve.
I think the
with all of
aftercare
this right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think the aftercare is really important.
We'll put it out into the universe.
Intentions, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adrian, hi, Adrian. The best counsel is from one who has experienced. I have never seen any information in the medical field on this. I have. I have.
Okay. No, elaborate.
Well, I have because I was in psychotherapy for years. And until my last one, it was the only time that I can tell you I walked away and never needed therapy again. So that's telling you that I found exactly what I needed in her. And she was writing papers. So everything came out in the end.
Right.
Not at the beginning. She didn't reveal anything to me. What actually revealed things
Right.
to me was her mother who had passed on. That's how
Right.
I knew.
Well, there you
So
go.
it was a different kind of
But
thing. So,
you see again, you tapped in. I
well,
think it would
you
be
do when you're in therapy because you're so intense, right? In the
Mhm.
conversation. Because they just listen. They don't talk
They
to you.
don't,
They
no.
listen.
Yeah, they may lead you
So
down a certain suggestive path for you to,
to
have
open
a
up.
couple of ideas, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do think it would be wonderful. Like I said, I myself have done it for ever since I started helping people. I've always been out there. People have been able to call me 24/7. My phone used to be on all the time. And I find that there are some people who will still do it. I mean, most good teams know that people that they've assisted can call anytime and say, look, there's still a problem, and that team is still there. And I think that's important. But I think if you need professional counseling for something like, I mean, some of these situations that I've seen over the years that we see now, holy crap, man, if you don't get PTSD, I would be completely freaking amazed. So we're not licensed to work with that sort of thing. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists or, licensed counselors. We're great
Mhm.
listeners, versed enough in this field to be able to give you an opinion. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just need full on counseling and you just need to find the right people.
Mhm.
Um, so as we go further down, and again, we will get to Jonathan. We just have to get to a different topic first. So Tamara, there you go.
The part people don't see is the investigators that need help as well. Yeah, especially after leaving a location.
Oh, geez, I can
Iowa.
because things can follow. So you have that double-edged sword.
Yeah, and Ardua says, or the agenda of pay me and I'm writing a book, buy it.
Ah,
Mm.
it is with some people for
Now,
sure.
I have a comment for this. Dolly
Okay.
says nurses are trained to understand that paranormal experiences can be valid. Nurses are also very empathic. The ones with the best bedside manner and the ones that are quick on their feet are intuitive and
Right,
empathic, as are
right.
paramedics, as are police officers. So they're
Mhm,
already gifted going in. So it's much easier and they see so much death.
mhm.
I walk into an emergency room and I am shocked. I can see reactions in nurses when they're not busy
Right.
and running. I can see the reactions. I can see the hesitations. Sue says, when it comes to children having a paranormal experience and then expressing this to their parents, one of the best things you can do is
Is not.
not to deny that their experience happened. There are
Mhm.
many different ways to give children a better understanding on this because who knows what they may have experienced was a great grandmother or a mimic. It's to keep them strong.
I think so. By not
Yeah.
discouraging children, and I've worked with many families over the years to not discourage children who say, I have an imaginary friend. If you make the child feel foolish, they're going to stop talking and stop telling you. So what happens if it is that mimic that
No,
comes in?
it gives them an edge.
That child is not going to speak to you about it and might accidentally, because I've worked with families where this exact thing has happened, where the child makes an invitation simply because the other entity has said, I'm portraying to be a little boy saying, I'd like to come and play. Can I come over to your house? Child's like, okay. That's all it takes because they're considered a weak link and they're vulnerable and they're easy to scare. So please, please, please never discourage your children. You
No,
know, listen to the description. You don't have to lead them, but don't
no,
discourage
no.
them either.
You know what I always say? I used to mentor children a
Yes.
lot. And what I always said to parents is, do you remember the sex talk with your parents? Because the children I mentored
Don't
were,
want to talk about it.
between 3 and 7, because then
Right.
it starts to level off and we see what happens after that.
Right.
So what I used to say is when you have a when you have a conversation about sexual education with your child, you give them what they need to know. You don't give them the whole what could
That's
happen
right.
and this and this and this. It's the same
That's right.
thing with a type of haunting. You respect them, you listen, And when I say you listen, I mean, if it means getting down, crouching down eye to eye and saying, tell me,
That's right.
that's what you need to do. Don't be dismissive, and only give them little bits and pieces. Children aren't like us. They don't need to know the whys, the hows, the wheres. They're just
Mine did.
asking you, is this real?
Yes.
And you say, yes,
I
it
know.
is. Are you afraid? How do
Mhm.
you feel? How do you feel when you're around it is a better question than
Mhm.
insinuating fear. It's little things.
Well,
It's
sometimes
not,
these
it's
entities will
acknowledgement.
bully the child into not
Yes.
saying anything. You can read your child, but remember one thing. Okay, we all walk around in this physical form, this meat sack, whatever it is you want to call it. Our essences are, in many cases, old essences, with old souls. That child may have an older soul than his or her parent.
Yeah.
So to try to give something mundane and not treat them like they are, that being of light who is communicating, it's not. I don't discourage that. I would not recommend discouraging that. And the same thing applies to extraterrestrial visits, because media, like anything, has in most parts instilled fear with it. Whether we're talking false flags, whether we're talking these are bad, they look scary. Ooh, they look scary. Stay away from it. Whatever the case may be. Okay. We have people who all look different nationalities, different cultures. It's the same with the world of extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
There are beings, many of them right here sharing space on our planet, some within our solar system, some beyond our solar system. But the fact remains dimensional, a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of different, when we think of, it's my belief when we're dealing with, even with cryptids, that they could just be coming from different dimensions and so on. So try to have that open mind. And this is for adults too. Try to put that fear away for a little while. It's not easy to do, because there's a big stigma with this. You're going to lurk around your room at night. It's dark. You're feeling vulnerable. Gone. That's like, what the hell just happened to me?
What the hell? Or you get a hard
Lots of,
landing.
right, and a hard landing. So there's a lot of scary experiences, and maybe we don't always remember experiences. So if something terrifying happens to you, maybe, I don't know, were you fighting? Did you go in swinging and everybody's just defending themselves? Like there's a lot of theories, but at the end of the day, it comes down to just try to keep an open mind, try to put your fear aside, because you may be missing out on an also really amazing experience. I could tell you now that I have certain recollections. There's a lot of similarities between the paranormal and having extraterrestrial experiences. And now I recognize some of those, and my experiences have gotten better. I know,
And she's
right?
still here.
I'm
Lots of
still here
perspective.
talking about it.
When I used to have all
I
this
know.
fear, I thought, wait a minute.
I
You
know.
went through a wall, but you came back alive. Yeah, Samantha, my niece, my beautiful niece, the X-Files theme song used to scare me when I was a child. It's because your mother was watching it all the time.
It's my ringtone. I laugh.
It's one of her ringtones. Yes.
Yes.
Dolly says, lighting your open curiosity and examining it will teach you so much. You know what? When we were discussing yesterday about how the wall dissolved, and I said, why didn't anybody ever tell me?
Dolly missed you. Yeah.
Dolly, you missed it yesterday. You have to go into archives. I posted it on the Facebook group page.
Yes.
The link was just posted, so it'll be at the top. I started to think, wait a minute, we have so much fear of abduction, but hold on a second. We're all still here and in one piece. So it really can't be that bad. But I'm not speaking for everybody, because I know some people have terrifying experiences. I'm just saying, for the most part.
Yeah, I still feel I've come to learn that I don't even like the term abduction. I do prefer, visitation, experience, contact. I mean, if you're going against your will, being hauled out a window, okay, that might be an abduction. But
yeah,
here's the ticket, to that. And this is what we talked about on the show last night with our guests. Was there a prearranged agreement? just because you don't remember it. This is a cruel joke why you just can't remember this stuff. But
Mhm.
is there a prearranged agreement where somewhere along the line you said, yes, I will come back and be a part of all of this and I will
Yeah,
help and blah,
no,
blah, blah,
no.
blah, blah. So then you go kicking and screaming, I'm not going. It's like, oh, yeah, you are. You signed right here. We have it. So I'm making light of it because it's,
Yeah.
come to learn that no, sometimes you agree to do things and you're basically fulfilling your end of things. And in the process, you are gaining pretty amazing gifts along the way. And you're learning a lot of really cool things. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody's experiences, but I could tell you, had you said to me 2 years ago, even though now I knew as a child I had experiences, if you would have said to me 2 years ago, when somebody's looking at me and touching the top of my head, and I'm making comments like, touch me, I'll break your arm, or I see something like in front of me or someone being, another being, and I just look at him, looks at me, and I just roll over and go, nope, nope,
Yeah,
not doing it.
not in my house.
What did I, yeah, but what did I miss? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wayne said he never read the fine print. He was tricked.
yeah, I know, I was tricked. Yes, you probably were. But you know what? I really think that we are moving forward. A lot more people are talking about extraterrestrial experiences. Even now, government in the United States just once again came out and said, okay, new disclosure. We've investigated 300 cases. We can't explain 150 of them.
No, laughing at Wayne's
Well,
comment.
really?
Sorry. He
Yeah,
always distracts
really.
me.
So, you know what? I think at that point we have to open our minds, because I think we're heading into a different world. Just don't be fooled by false flags. Just don't be fooled by fear, because you really might be missing out on really amazing things. Look at the whole CE5 movement. People
Ugh.
are out there. We talked about this last night as well. People are out there saying, we want this experience. We're welcoming this experience. So I don't
And
know. I
I'm
would rather
inside going,
get into it.
why?
I know, right? Look at this. Oh, Wayne,
Why?
this connector for another round. It'll be fun,
I
they
love
said. You'll
Wayne
enjoy
is
it.
a pleasant
You just don't remember you were
distraction.
having a good time. Stop it.
He's a
You're
good
having a good time.
distraction. My brother from another mother.
There we
But
go.
Steve says that's very true. I've been in this field for over 40 years, and one of the most frightening phone calls I've ever gotten from someone was when they were actually experiencing an extraterrestrial encounter as they were talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I absolutely had no idea how to comfort her. I wish I did. It caught me off guard. So let me tell you could tell by the tone of her voice it was actually
Yes.
happening when we were talking on the phone.
Mhm.
It's one call I'll never forget. Oh, I bet.
No,
Holy
it
crap.
can be unnerving. But you know what? I think once they realize that, okay, these people are okay with it, it's not so unnerving. Wayne and I have had crazy things happen in this house. We had something shoot through the dining room window. The window shook, came right by here, out those windows. They shook. And we found out that night, Bubbles, if you remember, because we were at a radio
I was
studio
just
then.
going to say, then she was
And
validated.
that night, the neighbor somehow called Wayne and said, there's, the furnace is working overtime because she was overseas. Somebody hit the house. And the way the property is so big, it's such a huge intersection. There's no way you would do this unless you were under the
Driving in that
influence
direction.
or trying to avoid hitting something. And
Yeah,
she
that
was
was
right
bizarre.
next
We
door
were
in
on
the
air.
side. She was hit on, like resonance,
Yeah.
energy, whatever the case may be. We have seen some crazy ass shit
Yeah.
happen in this house.
We were on air at the studio at
We
the
were.
station at the time when
For
it
sure.
happened. And I'm like, what the hell?
I
My
know.
phone just died. I'm switching fans because people I melt here.
So there's some crazy stuff, but you know what? I would not miss it for all the tea in China. I am having a freaking ball with all of these
Yeah.
amazing experiences. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Uh,
So now I was like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay.
because I just feel like serial killers are a little bit more predictable.
Here we go, Jonathan. Yeah, well, they could be, but they're not as
Jonathan,
much fun.
how
Okay.
do we connect with or learn what our spirit guides are? Does the process change if they're non-human?
I
Wow,
don't think so.
I believe that most people can go into a meditative state and just bring them forward. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
it doesn't take much. You can even find a credible one on YouTube and have it guided so that it's easier if you have trouble with that. Because I know I do, because my mind is everywhere. I struggle with meditation. It's something that I have to force, and
John
it's
Holland is amazing and does a phenomenal walk you through meditation called the Psychic
yeah.
Navigator. He's
There you go.
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only one that I know is Kelly Howell, because I used her and I like her
Mm.
because I'm very, very much into binaural beats. So she
Yeah.
uses that a lot and it gets me in a
It's
really,
a
really deep
perfect.
state.
Yes.
But that's how I did it the first time. And lo and behold, it was not the names that some psychic gave me on a radio show. But anyways, and I wasn't calling into the show. I was actually on the psychic roundtable where we were doing readings on air when I first started.
Mhm.
So, God, 2012.
Yeah.
Whew, I need a minute. And a double gin,
Blast from the
please.
past moment.
And a double gin, 10 years.
But some people
but
can
yeah,
bring them forward without
some
meditation.
mediums can't, but some mediums can bring them forward for you as well.
I could
But
bring forward a lot of my own.
I know something that I want to share. I don't believe that they have names. I believe that we give them names that what's comfortable with us. If they were human in another lifetime
Be
and they're
different.
part of then they have a name. But if they're other beings, usually they're like, you can call us whatever you want, you
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
I know that with one of mine.
Right.
But and I've been told that by someone as well,
Mhm.
by a guest actually.
Right.
So yeah, so it's try
Yeah.
that, Jonathan, if it's for you. If it's for you.
Just open your mind regardless.
Yeah.
Just sit and go find a quiet space. And, I think, again, though, I think you need to be careful because you have had issues or experiences where unwanted attention has come in
Yeah, you don't want to
to
be
your
meditating.
space. Yeah. So you have to be really careful. Unfortunately, it can be a really beautiful experience, but it can be a traumatic experience if
Well,
you're not.
meditation is a form of communication. Sorry.
No, that's what I'm going. Yeah, I'm agreeing.
One brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
it's scary. So you have to be careful. That's why I don't like I love the meditations when you're sleeping, but they have to be credible because you don't know
So,
what they're putting in your mind. And I think that you should not be searching for your spirit guides through a meditation that allows you to sleep and then get the information. No.
so what about going to something like a spiritualist group? People think spiritualists, they
Yeah.
go, oh, that's just another form of religion. No. It's actually when you go there.
Or a cult. They'll call it a
I've spent
cult.
time in
Yeah.
Lilydale. It's a great place. They
Yeah.
teach you there, and they do have spiritualist communities everywhere.
Yeah,
That's
we
just
have them
closer
here.
to me, so I go, right? Yeah, well, the head of the Spiritualist Church of Canada is in Burlington. But
Yeah.
what was great about it is they teach you how to properly use your abilities. They help you to use them. They will sit with you and help test you with them. They will see if are you the healer type. If you are, they will work with you on those abilities. They will teach you. You'll sit in a group where people will meditate. You are in a safe environment, and that may be the way to do it. Or go to a Buddhist temple. Often you can get them to teach you proper meditation with a donation of anything. This is something that they do. It's part of what they offer people, and you'll see a donation cup there. Whatever you can afford, you put that in and it goes back into the temple. Meditation is meditation, right? So that's really important. So we've got Tamara and Dolly saying pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Intention. Everything is about
It is
intention and
intention.
mindset.
That's why I recommend guided meditation if you're starting, because you might
Mhm.
not understand how to set intention. It can sound
Mhm.
intimidating, and
Right.
it's not, but sometimes a guided meditation is good because they're setting it for you and taking
Mhm.
you through that.
Right.
But yeah.
Yes. And
And remember to
grounding.
ground. Oh my god.
Bubbles and I are sharing a brain again tonight, so
Yeah,
that's
because you
don't mind
don't want to
us.
meditate without being grounded.
No,
People
you
think you're
shouldn't.
grounding while you're meditating.
It,
So,
no, it's a really different experience if you ground first and then
yeah.
meditate. Like experiment, see what works for you, but grounding just makes it a little bit harder for things to latch on. If you
Yeah.
happen on
I
something
call it
that's got ill intent,
exactly. I call it your Teflon coating.
there we
So
go.
you're spraying yourself in Teflon and then you're going to
Yeah,
meditate. So everything just goes,
there we
like John
go.
Gotti, the Teflon Don, right? So, but it caught up with him because he probably forgot to ground the last time.
Yeah, left the
I
suit at
shouldn't
home.
even be
So
joking about
little
him.
suit of
Seriously.
armor, get out there. Yeah, See, there we go. And
Yeah,
right
I
there, we
learned
have them just
walking
down the road here.
meditation
We've
from
got them.
monks.
Yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
they are. They are awesome, and their meditation is just
Oh,
so it's
well,
just
they're
really
elite.
awesome.
They are elite when it comes to meditation.
And a lot of people will go to them. You don't have to be Buddhist, just so you know,
No,
to be able to
it's
go
not a
and
religion.
meditate. No, exactly. But go and enjoy the experience because you're really going to learn an awesome technique. That's just it. I think as similar as
Excuse
many of
me.
these techniques are, they differ as well. So don't limit yourself to just one way of meditation.
Oh
Try different
no,
ones
don't
that
get
work for you,
stuck in
but
the
you're in
rut.
a group with other people. You're
Oh,
being taught in a safe environment. You've got
just
the
make sure I'm
incense
not
going,
there.
you got everything.
Just make sure I'm not there because
Okay.
you will have lost every cent you put into it because I sit there and laugh my head off and then I'm asked to leave. So I'm just saying,
Note to
you don't
self,
want to be
don't
in a
invite bubbles.
meditative
Right.
group with me. That's
Right.
all I'm saying because
There
I
we go.
couldn't stop laughing because I like to, and I know all these people, they're on my phones. I'm watching them in their faces when they're meditating and they're just like, what are you doing? Sorry.
See, I'd be having bubbles wrestle down to the ground saying, shut up.
No, you'd be throwing me out the door, and that's what they did. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I
there
need to
we
meditate on my own.
there we go.
Tamara says, step outside the box. There are so many meditations, even laughing
Here,
meditation.
bubble needs a
Yeah,
laughing meditation.
instead of TikTok. It might be healthier.
I know.
But I love the Nona's cooking on TikTok.
The
And
point
I just
is,
love it.
the point is here, I think, is bouncing all these ideas around. We're all learning something. And I think the lesson in all of this so far and everything we've been talking to, and remember, you guys are guiding this roundtable discussion because we are going based on what we're seeing in chat. We put some things in there and then we kind of flow with it. And what I'm seeing here is we're talking about putting aside fears, not being afraid
Yeah.
to learn something new, and being diligent. Live, love, laugh. Live your best life. I say it all the time. Not everything has to be fearful. Some paranormal experiences, by the way, are like amazing. The spirits in this house, for the most part, were always amazing.
I
Now,
think even the scary ones are.
we got those. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this is where I think investigators would have a lot of fun. I used to have a lot of fun going to, these big public places that they would
She
have.
never takes me anywhere. I'm kidding. I'm
She's
kidding. We've
naughty
been in this thing
sometimes.
called a
We can't just
pandemic.
take her anywhere. Yeah. but but places, there are a lot of places all over the world that are open to the public. Sometimes you can go and sleep there. Whenever I travel, I stay at a haunted location. That is my thing. It is not for everyone. I don't mind being
No,
woken up with
Bubble
somebody
stays
going
in a 5-star
in my ear,
hotel.
and I'm like, "Ooh, what
Yeah.
was that?"
I have the mint
You
on
know?
my pillow and everything. No
See, like,
ghosts there.
not for everyone, but it's my thing. But I've worked in a lot of residences
Yeah.
where people the place is so active, people just want to know how to interact with their spirit residents. which I think is great that people would take the time to do it. But here's where they sometimes run into problems is when you have all kinds of teams coming in. Like sometimes it's when you have somebody that says may get one or two teams coming in because they may want to just validate the other team. But then you have some are pretty habitual. They want as many teams in as possible. Now, I'm not talking about public locations that this is what they do. Give people a place to investigate and learn, about, proper investigating or whatever. But there's some, and I've encountered two in my whole career to this point. So that's not bad considering how many investigations that I've done on site throughout, my career doing this. But they was almost like they were a collector of investigators. They wanted as many as they could come in. So bear in mind, you have different people, different backgrounds, different religious belief systems, different ways of investigating, different types of equipment, different attitude. When you have somebody who's being really delicate and who's being really considerate with the spirits, communicating, that's one thing. But every time you go out there with a piece of equipment or a Ouija board or a voice recorder or a phone app, ghost box, the list goes on and on and on and on, you are essentially making an invitation.
Yeah, so don't test those things out in your own freaking house.
Right?
Like someone.
When you have a boatload of people coming in and going out and making invitations, that's one thing. But now when you get somebody who's coming in demanding that communication happen at that moment and pushing their weight around, things can go bad. So where you may have some benign spirits, it's not hard to imagine how many doors are being opened and all of a sudden their haunting isn't so benign anymore. No. I've seen that happen so many times just from families who have messaged me and said, well, we had a group in here, and some of these groups went ahead and said, call me. Other people are just, no, we can handle it. And things just got worse. So you go in and you clean up messes and you try to educate the family in the process. And so they just don't fall victim to it again. So there's really a lot of things that people need to be careful about. It's good to have a team, but maybe pick one, maybe two, and leave it there.
But actually speak, and you'll see that on the better investigative shows, you'll see where there's only one or two, like one person communicating and the other one giving that time for response because they're not like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You have to wait to see because it takes energy to come forward. Also, the line, how can I help you, is not a good one to open with. I'm just going to say that just leaves you wide open.
Yes.
You've just invited them in. So be careful with how you word things. I don't speak to any of them. I don't know if you noticed. I was like, so Michelle, what do you want me to do kind of thing. I'm very quiet in investigations, which is unlike me as a person. So I just, but I'm very respectful of spirits, especially when I'm in someone else's home, because I don't want to do anything that's going to cause aggravation to either the spirit that may be grounded or the family that's living there. So it's important to me, even when I've had the experiences that have happened to me in my lifetime have just happened because I was somewhere, not because I was looking for them. And I was even careful then because I didn't want anything attaching to me. You'll never see me provoke. Well, I know you definitely will never see Michelle provoke, but you'll never see either one of us provoke anybody or
Standing
anything.
your ground
is one thing, but that's not provoking.
Two different things. No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Being strong is one thing. I've had someone that I helped that said to me, okay, so we've cleared a place. And then they'll say to me, okay, so I'm asking them right now if they're not of this world and have no good intentions to leave. And I'm like, stop.
It's done.
We just helped you. Stop.
It's true. It's true.
Yes.
We get back to that mindset thing where, you can clear a place and when we clear people, we keep an eye on them. It's not just like a one-shot deal. We know that unless you're dealing with a human spirit, which you can get to move pretty much instantly, but when it's something else, or if dealing with even extraterrestrials, you don't clear extraterrestrials on an average. I think it really depends on the race. Some of them, believe it or not, yes, we've been very successful with, but on an average, no, this is a different path altogether. But when you're dealing with interdimensional beings, dimensional beings, they where you get rid of one, there's 5 more ready to come in, depending again on what you're dealing with. So you have to keep checking on people. When you're dealing with a team that says, oh yeah, no problem, we can get them out of here. No, not usually a one-shot deal. We've seen people do exorcisms, where, years later, I've had people message me saying, well, I had an exorcism done, but didn't work. Well, no, because sometimes even the story of The Exorcist itself, it took them weeks of constant working it, and it finally it released. So it's not always a one-shot deal. In fact, most of the time, it's not a one-shot deal, and you shouldn't let people tell you that unless you're dealing again with the human spirit.
That's why I have to agree. Well, of course, I'm going to agree with Bishop James, but I agree with him with the choosing of the film The Rite, because it is the most accurate depiction of what it is like to go through an exorcism. And if you have seen that film, you'll notice and recall that one of the young girls he was treating and exorcising was in oppression for over 20 years.
There you go.
So, these things are very common.
Yes.
It's all in perception and mindset. And you're dealing with the lady in the film was a devout Catholic, which I find are targeted even more than others, to be honest.
I've actually heard that by many different people of different faiths, that the Catholics really get targeted a lot. Do you know, I also heard a theory that Buddhists they don't get possession, oppression, things like that, because again, mindset. But the Catholics get it. The Catholics and Christians get it the most. And I thought that's a curiosity, because it's such when you have a strong faith.
Yeah, and it's that, and it's I find. And don't kill me, because I was raised Roman Catholic and I still have some beliefs in, and I still grasp onto some stuff, but I don't want people sending me emails going, blah, 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 like, why are you saying that about Catholics? They are one of the most superstitious people I know. And I find it amusing.
Coming from the Italian faith, that's a superstitious.
The Europeans are superstitious, period. And I find it amusing, because I would tease a friend of mine whose mother was so superstitious. When her daughter got married, she hung the rosary on the clothesline to make sure it wouldn't rain until the reception and not the ceremony. And she goes, see, it worked. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. Like, I saw a book that said 101 superstitions, and I was ready to buy it for her, but I didn't, because I go, what if there's some new ones in there she doesn't know about? Oh my God. So I said to her, she was on the Catholic Women's League. She was a dear friend. She was like a mom to me. And we lost her a few years ago. And I said to her, how do you go to church and live with superstition? And she said, well, they're evil forces. No, they're not. They're superstition mindsets, beliefs. A cat walks under I don't know how many times I've had a black cat walk under my ladder at the cottage, but I'm still here. So, your fear feeds everything. So, it's so ironic that they're superstitious when they're not supposed to believe in any other gods but their own and their 10 commandments. So I always say every Catholic who is superstitious has already broken a few commandments. But anyways, I think it's church has to evolve as well. But anyways, I don't want to receive emails that say that I picked on them, because I'm not picking on them. I'm stating fact here.
It's true.
And don't believe everyone in a collar is a collar. That's that there too.
Yeah, there's just a lot out there, and I truly believe that anyone who really truly wants to help other people needs to be commended. There's a right way and a wrong way. I think a lot of investigators will go out there with some of the best intentions. But again, it's not like
Yeah.
there's something out there that says, "Oh, this is a proper training." If you're lucky enough to end up with a team who will take the time to teach you because they're considered veterans or they've been around for a long time and they're willing to teach you that information, I think that's a perfect place to start. See, watching things on television is not always the best place to start because
No.
again, a lot gets left on the cutting room floor. You have to remember what they're going for. They're going for reaction. They're going for, the fear factor. They want you to
Audience.
sit on the edge of your seat because they want you tuning in next week.
They
So they
need
want
that.
the
That's how
most
they get paid.
exactly. They want the most fearful
Numbers.
thing going.
Yeah. And
That's
not to say that they're all like that,
well, they're
but
not. There's some great
for
ones
the
out there.
most part, they fall into that. And some of the older shows are really, really, really good before it
Oh,
became such a pop
Scariest
culture
Places
thing.
on Earth was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah, Linda
I love that
Blair
one as
narrating it.
well.
It was
You know,
excellent.
oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just believe, like you said, mindset is everything.
Mhm. It
It
is.
really is.
It is. So your experience is really what you make of it. Like I said, I've seen people clear their own houses just by having a consultation where I'll sit with them and say, well, this is what feeds it. This is what goes on. This is what you should probably consider doing. There's a lot of different ways of putting yourself in control. Just remember, you really are the one in control. I always tell people, which I've always told people, once they have been cleared or once we know for sure, okay, we're pretty certain now that we've got this, that their mindset would become their biggest opponent, that not everything they see is a shadow, that not everything they experience is paranormal, because you're pretty much leaving your foot in the door. We've addressed this like many times, and I keep saying it because it's so important, because people, it's fear. The fear just, it doesn't just go away that easily. You need to train yourself to just
Yeah.
rethink things. It's like living as a hostage for so many years or so many months or days. It's not easy to wake up the next morning and say, I don't have eyes on me. I'm not a prisoner anymore. I am in control. This
Yeah.
stuff's not
Silkwood
going on.
syndrome. Yeah.
No, exactly. Well, here's
I
another one. Well,
Oh
hold on.
yeah, Tamara says always question why. I at one point had 7 mentors, and this will segue into my point here. The reason being is I don't believe that you should learn everything from just one person. Just like
Mhm.
I believe that if you're working to learn how to help people through a paranormal group, you should maybe, you know, be the fifth wheel with a few
Mhm.
different groups, because I really believe that we can learn from so much from each other. When I say the scary times aren't bad either, what I mean is we learned how to get through them. So maybe we could teach someone how to help them there, and they could teach us how to deal with something else. That kind of thing.
Mhm.
The unity is lacking in this field. It's really sad.
To a
Kira
degree, it
West,
is. Yeah.
yeah, says every time I hear someone on TV say, use me, use my energy, I say,
Mhm.
no, I agree. And you know what? I think if you're highly empathic, you need to be very careful if you want to be an investigator, because when you're trying to take that on from the person you're helping, you will more than likely take it home with you to your
Mhm.
family. So you have to be careful with
A
that. And
researcher takes, like an investigator in the field, takes a chance every time they go on a call to a malevolent haunting. You
yeah,
take that chance because we're not bulletproof. You could say, ground yourself. Do you have a protection ritual? Do you love and light everybody? Like, how do you do it? Do you pray? Everybody has their own ways. I think, again, you're changing the mindset, your mindset, and you're going in. And if you're feeling like you're in control, you're in control. But it doesn't make us bulletproof. We still take chances when we go in to help people that things are going to attach. And when you go in there really cocky, sometimes you pretty much put a bullseye on your back because now you've become a challenge. So it's like,
And not just to
oh,
one.
okay.
Not just to one.
No. And I'll tell you, I've worked with various people through the years, and I could see, in a couple of instances, like I say, they go after the weak link. And there was one time I could see with one person I was investigating with, the transformation started to happen. And I could see that individual who came in complete control, but may have had a degree of fear in the background, like running in the background, because it was a pretty crazy location. And I could see the transformation of not just this, investigator that was with me, because he became that weak link, right? And angry and picking on the other people in the room and just directing, like angst. And I kept thinking, knock it off, it's happening. And then it went on to happen to one of the residents in the home.
It's
And
sad.
and you know what? It's crazy. I remember asking the resident, one of the residents in the home, because he just stared out and it didn't even look like, it was like he was looking right through you. And I'm like, tell me what you're feeling right now. And he goes, like something's looking at you through my eyes. I was like, it's not what you really want to hear, but it's like, okay, I can live with that. And as I was leaving, he had this bracelet on, or he was putting this bracelet on, and he goes, it's small. I went, okay. And he went cracked his wrist. Well, it's like this, and it went. I was like,
oh.
So you see, like, you are not in control, and that's how easily something can get in there and use the body.
Especially if you react, because then you're in their playing field.
But the whole time, just staring
How
out
do you not
in this,
react?
like, I'm just like, oh boy, okay, that was a little much for me. But why? Yeah. But the investigation was over. This is why we were all saying goodbye, and it was just like, that was, I think, maybe this being's way of letting me know, still here.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you want me to read this?
Yeah.
Tamara says, I wasn't sure if you're going to, because we don't have a guest. So we're taking things here. Sensitive people are able to get attachments in the most unlikely places and have to be diligent always. Oh, and it's so hard, Tamara. It's so hard to remember. I can't tell you how many times I've walked through an emergency room when my dad was around, because he was constantly in the hospital towards the end, that I forgot. And I'd be texting Michelle going, can you check me? Like, I could feel and see and everything. And it's like, I need to step outside. I would take my damn shoes off in the middle of winter on the ground and take it, because I knew I wasn't going to survive in there.
Yes.
So I'm more concerned about what I bring home than what I have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous for my dad when,
it's dangerous for the people around us who didn't ask for any of it. So we do take really big chances.
Yeah. So forgive me when I get upset when the other side of the equation isn't pulling their weight. Dolly says, I've had a non-malevolent spirit follow me home across state line, and it took me weeks to get it out.
You should have called us.
You should have called us, Dolly. I had one follow me home from Massachusetts on a plane. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. But it took me about a week to get rid of her. I actually had to call in another medium because I was so frustrated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that was a long time ago. I wasn't dealing with this kind of stuff. That was 2017. I was still just in crime. So yeah, I know.
Now that you know, it's like,
now it's different. It's
like, that could have been like this. Yeah.
You're done. You're going home. Yeah.
That's that.
Here, let me help you over to the light, darling. Yes.
Here, this time now.
It is this time, and it's always the time that my mouse decides not to work, right? Because it's like,
tis that time.
Where is it? Yes, it is definitely that time.
Are you still looking? Do you want me to play like a little Folgers like infomercial? I don't know. We're gonna do one right here.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And thank you,
Velvet.
Dolly, for that one. See? Yeah.
Thank you,
we still play
Dolly.
them. Bring them in, people. We do play
Yes.
them. We do play
Yes.
them.
So now we'll get to my contribution of Folgers. I really should do a commercial.
Yep.
Maybe Dolly and I can do a duet. Excuse me. I don't think my voice is as velvety as hers, though. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live on 105.3 FM radio from the gorgeous city of New Orleans. We don't have a guest tonight. Tonight we are doing a Q&A round table discussion with our audience. You're all our guests tonight in the chat room. This is our favorite type of show, honestly. We enjoy it more than you do. You have no idea. Look forward to it. It's so much fun. And I know Michelle and I both look forward to all of the experiences that you share with us and everyone else listening. I find that very generous and very kind. Thank you. So a shout out and a thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. And thank you for your support and continuing sponsorship. A huge thank you for our intro and outro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. He's dropping clips every day of his music, so you can follow him on social media, and that's how you'll find out how you can purchase his music. Stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. Please remember to subscribe and like us too. We have 2 new platforms, Michelle. 3. We have Parler.
We have Rumble. Check us out on Rumble, and Anchor, which is part of Spotify. There we go.
You go.
Yes. We've got.
So if you're watching us on Facebook,
yeah,
give us a like on the group page, because I know you're not liking us because we're feeling kind of like offended by this. I have to say it's hurting, and I take it into the weekend and I can't survive. Seriously, we would appreciate the love. We work so hard here. Michelle works so hard at getting you all these amazing guests, and we have the huge numbers, but they're not hitting the social media, and that'll be really helpful if you just hit like. And if you're annoyed by notifications, just turn them off.
2.5 to 3 million people. Can you imagine how many likes that would be?
Yeah, and we've got 3,000 people on Facebook. Like, that's a 10%. It's not even 10%. It's not even 10%.
We appreciate you, Tamara. We thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
we're working our way to TikTok and to Instagram. Our audience is mostly on Facebook, though. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe right now.
Right.
Please and thank you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, back to it.
Yay. Ardua says it helps to have some normal friends to just talk about mundane things with, watch some comedy, eat donuts. I'm with you on the donuts and comedy.
Yes.
Definitely with you.
It's about raising your vibration, raising your frequency, changing all of that within your space. Remember, negative things can dine out on negative energy. It feeds them. It's food. So starve them. Just change everything. Raise it up, and you'll find that they're not going to be able to get to you as easily. They really can't.
Yeah, I'm guilty of some trash TV, but it's because I laugh my way through it. So I think it's how you absorb it.
Right.
As well. If you're absorbing the trash as you're happy for someone to be doing poorly, then you're in a really, really negative state. Right. If you're saying, "Oh my gosh, I hope things work out for that person," and then you laugh at the bullies, then it's a different kind of thing. Always remember, everything on television is entertainment.
Right. It's
even the documentaries are censored. So
it's all geared to just bringing you back in, right? So, but hey, some of these things, like through the years, I have filmed some amazing programs, and the one that I guess is resurfaced was my Paranormal Nightmare, and because it's Well, it's playing in the U.S. Because I can always tell somewhere in the world where something I've been on has recycled because I get all these extra friend requests. I was sitting with almost like 600 friend requests. I'm like, I can't get everybody on.
But
I don't have that much space.
definitely,
You know? But it was a story because that's what people are asking about now, and it was a story of my life essentially, and I've never told it really. I've given snippets of it throughout other interviews, and I never realized how much I guess people want to know about my life. I don't know, but
it's very
but
helpful that it's not just them. You're helping people.
and that's how I looked at it. It's very humbling when somebody messages me, because I had one on Ghostly Encounters going back to like
Love that show.
2007.
Love
That thing
show.
resurfaced also in the recycling lately.
First time I saw you was on that show.
Right?
Wasn't that the Burlington Exorcism?
No,
that was which show? A Haunting?
that was probably Haunted Case Files. Yeah.
That another one of my favorites. See what I'm saying about the older ones? They are so
They're
good.
really good.
They're really well done.
The Ghostly Encounter story was one I've only told that story one time, and it's on that show. So if you can go look up Ghostly Encounters and you can put in my name. I don't remember the season. I don't remember the episode. I don't even watch myself for the most part, just so you know. I don't care about it. I just like,
wait 20 minutes.
I did it. Yeah,
wait 20 minutes.
So there we go. No. But there was that one. And the network got so many, it was on the Biography channel back then. They got so many emails about that story, and they would send them to me. I'm like, what? Really? That's like, I didn't realize how many people connected to it. And recently, when it played back about 2-3 months ago, I started getting emails again. I was just like, wow. It was a very emotional story for me. I might water my eyes and everything. It was like really,
I think that's the one that I did watch, was that one, because you didn't even tell me the whole story. I just had little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then I watched it come through and I was like, oh my God, Michelle, what you went through. Yeah.
It was really difficult, it's like, but then when Nightmare came out, it was just like, I should say Paranormal Nightmare, because I did one called My Worst Nightmare as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my Paranormal Nightmare came out. And when I told that story again, I was just like, the amount of messages I got for that segment, I was just like, and the producers who, again, I've worked with on Survivor and Case Files, were just wonderful, gave an extended time slot for it, which also, very humbling. But I thank you guys, because realistically, to me, their experiences, there's something that happened, but if it resonates with people, because I really don't care a lot about television, even though I've done a lot of it, it's always been a way of helping people find me if they needed me, really, and helping other people tell their stories. But when you have your own personal stories, like you'll hear me talk about cases I've done, people I've worked with, but to put in your own personal story and see how it affects people and how it resonates with them, that's pretty humbling. So thank you. And I'm glad you enjoy it. And I hope that they keep recycling around so you get to enjoy it as you go along. But anyway,
it's a great story. It's an experience. It's not really a story. It's an experience that you share. Oh, Dolly, I know trash TV. I know. I'm going to say something, Dolly. I actually cry for the ones that are being bullied. That's how much of an empath I am. And I'm watching trash television. I'm like, how could you treat her? Like, I'm serious. Like, sometimes I have to turn it off because I feel for that person.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Meanwhile, they're getting paid 150,000 American dollars an episode. Like, why are you crying? But Dolly says, your brain on negative transmits negative frequency, positive thinking. Positive frequency, raising your frequency means upping your positive gain or volume. Absolutely.
Okay, next, as we're
Kira says, I need more shows like those that tell paranormal experience. I've watched all I could find. Kira, did you watch Haunted on Netflix? They were talking about that yesterday with Lindsay Higgins' experience in there.
That was our guest last night.
Well done. It's well done. People are telling about their experiences. Hello, Pankaj Kapoor. Hello.
Oh, here's our comic relief.
Wayne, I like raisins. I'm constantly trying to improve my raisin vibrations.
Raisin. Okay.
Yeah, you got two
Dolly
women in your
got it.
life that can't stand
So-
raisins, but that's okay.
There we go.
More oatmeal
Having some
raisin
fun.
cookies for you, Wayne. That's all I'm saying.
There we go.
Tamara says, being born sensitive, most people were told not to talk about it. So we
True.
all walked around in a bonkers world. And your
Yes.
shows help to make the paranormal more normal. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Tamara, our third host.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our third host.
I'm
Yes.
glad it resonates. I'm glad you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about for
I'm
me.
learning from everybody in the chat room, our guests, and I learn from Michelle every single day. It's just, yeah. It's bizarre if we go a day without communicating. It's really bizarre. The next day it'll be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
Yes. What happened? Are you still breathing? Wayne says this time of year is an ideal time to have odd encounters. The weather gets cooler, and then so do the homes. The chills that are in the rooms may not always be weather related. I know what I speak of. What I speak.
Does, because this house
He's an author of amazing
always
books. I'm going to plug him.
this house is always delivered. So
yeah, and if you're listening and you don't know who Wayne Mallows is, he's the author of Vampire Tales. Just saying.
And my compadre.
Yes, her bestie. And how do you get Wayne's books?
WayneMallows.com. And you can read a chapter from every book. First chapter from every book will be on that website.
Yes.
Historical fiction. Do it. Vampires.
Yeah. Mary's on my nightstand.
Book 4.
So,
personal favorite.
Yeah, I started with that one. Now I have to get through something Hamilton sent me. Only 50,000 words. I printed it out yesterday.
Too.
Yeah.
Goes, well, there you go. Between the two, you guys, I'm like,
someone's gonna read it. Oh, good. Then I don't have the pressure. Michelle will read it.
I'm you're
kidding.
Very welcome. Truly an honor. Seriously.
Oh, Ardo, oh my gosh, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Right.
You got it. 50,000. I printed it. It's 47 pages of Bible print.
No, my
47 pages of print.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
They went enlarge it. See. That's what
yeah. Well, he wants me to take notes. I'm like, okay, I need a highlighter. I love using my highlighter.
I like the highlighter.
Yes, it's pink.
Oh, it was
a girly highlighter.
Of course it is, right?
Yes.
So
yes, like my nails.
So
yes.
Okay. So any questions coming through so far as we head up to the top of the hour? Our time is getting limited, and you will have to wait again. Wayne says, "I'm doomed." Why?
Why?
Are they doomed?
Your books are amazing. They should be films. Let's put that into the universe.
I happen to know he's going to keep going.
Yay!
At some point. I know. Shh. So,
you can't see it. His book cover. He gifted me it, and it's behind me, but you can't see it right now.
So, just a little surprise. We're going to give you an advanced date of the next Q&A, people. It's going to be December 22nd.
Merry Christmas.
Take a guess.
It's going to be a little different, though.
And it's going to be really different, but we're still going to have a lot of fun. And
a little Krampus.
Yes. So, yeah. So we're going to try to do these once a month, like we said. And hopefully that's going to fill the need a little bit. Here we go.
Tamara, do you feel the paranormal has amped up?
I absolutely do feel it has amped up. Or is it maybe that people are just noticing it more? I have spent my literally my career going 18 plus months in advance. And the last, 3 years at Amelia and I've worked together, it goes to show you when you have two people working it hardcore, it's easier than going to somebody's house. And there's that travel time. There's this, it's a lot different. So that has cut that down tremendously. And we just are able to help more people. But at one point, we went from 5 nights a week to 4 nights a week, where we've been able to comfortably get to a couple of nights a week because there were just so many people emailing, and the schedule is so difficult to keep up with. There's just so much, because I have another show that we've been off for October, but it's a good 20 hours a week of research and formatting to be able to bring the gray zone, to air. It's a lot of work. So is it now that people are being more aware since we went through a lockdown and the pandemic, people spending more time at home, maybe people are depressed, maybe people are worried, there's a whole other level of emotions that people were dealing with. And I think they started becoming more aware of things that were going on around them, or maybe they were inviting things in, not realizing. There was a big loss of life for some families, and now you have grieving. Well, that's another emotion that can bring unwanted attention, something trying to take advantage. But I think for the most part, as people become more educated on this, they know what to look for. Are there things out there that are constantly moving around? Yes, but there's always been things out there moving around. I just think it's we as individuals who have such busy lives on an average, we just fail to see the signs.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
and we're more open to research with the internet as well. It's easier to research without being uncomfortable, where before you would walk
Exactly.
into a library and it would be like,
That's
is there
true.
anything there? What were
Yes.
we gonna what could you research about the paranormal before? So with the internet, it's really opened up a world to many people who are like what I like to call, closet paranormal enthusiasts.
That's true.
And I think it's a big deal, and a lot more podcasts are focused on the paranormal.
And it's like Kira says,
more
that they're less
television
taboo.
shows. Yeah,
you know?
absolutely, Kira.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so too. They get excited too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wayne says we're fortunate to be in this time period only because there is far more acceptance of the paranormal than in the last 2,000 years. Really, people had more acceptance of the paranormal. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up with the Merry Christmas in November.
Yeah, right?
Okay, Buon Natale.
I know. There we go.
My daughter has her tree up in her office. But she did that Halloween night.
A lot of people actually do that.
She loves Christmas is her favorite. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, library used to be the only place to find paranormal information, and very little to boot. I mean, I think I learned most paranormal information when I was a kid, like I'm talking the 70s, probably from like old Twilight Zone shows. And I never watched Star Trek, but I hear there's a lot of stuff there. And Doctor Who.
Right.
So that was like as close to the paranormal as I got. And
my
of course,
life was living in
and
the
of course House of
paranormal.
Frankenstein and the Munsters and the Addams Family. That was it.
Yes.
But they weren't really ghosts, right?
No,
so
I was living that
Scooby-Doo
adventure, let me tell you.
Scooby-Doo was probably the most paranormal thing in the 70s. Was Scooby-Doo.
In my house.
Yeah, your house. I'm talking about on television.
No, but getting back to the library thing, like back then, it's not like there was a whole abundance of paranormal researchers that you could go to. Like, when I was in my teens, it's like, oh my God, once I hit 18, things were just like even more amped up. But, like I say, now I think back when being a young child, and I know there's a lot of ET stuff there as well. But I'll tell you, going to the library, there wasn't, like, I didn't even know the term paranormal. I didn't know that was a thing. I just knew that there was something around me that I needed to get rid of. Hey, Nathaniel.
Hi, Nathaniel.
And how did I do that? The only thing I really could think of doing at that time is going to the library, and I borrowed a book on witchcraft and cleansing and clearings. I at least knew then that it had to do with cleansing and clearings. I wish I knew what I knew now, but even with mindset, I knew then, no, I am in control because I was proactive about it. And I think that's what you need to be. But there wasn't anything like me at that age. What is paranormal? Was that even a term?
We didn't have
back
cell
then?
phones either to Google anything. So
well, no, I mean,
Google didn't exist.
Get on I'd get on like the city bus, go down to the big public library, see what I could find, and that's pretty much it. But that was as proactive as I could be with the knowledge that was available to me. Now you look and there's like you say, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of podcasts. There's unbelievable shows out there that you can watch. There's tons of resources. Somebody thinks we're cool enough to freaking have a sex comment on YouTube. I'm gonna block you though, buddy. Sorry. Wow.
Buddy, you need to be censored after I finish with you.
Right? It's like,
Um,
woo.
yeah,
Oh my God.
that one's a tough one. If you grew up in a Catholic school like I did, you didn't have access to those
Another
books
one.
because they were not in your library because it was
Right.
Catholic school. So you did have to go to public schools.
Right.
There's so very little. You had to go to the big libraries in Toronto.
the
You
city
couldn't just go
library,
to
that
the
was-
municipal ones. You had to go to Toronto Library.
Yeah, that's just it. And that's pretty much how it started. Like
Yeah.
for me, it was just I knew then to be proactive. And I think that's the best advice we could give you guys. Be proactive. Don't wither away and let something else take control. Because you are in charge.
What's your first ever horror flick you ever watched that you
Me?
remember? Yeah.
I've watched a lot of horror flicks. I've been watching them since I was like a kid.
Excuse
The
me.
one
Yeah.
that stayed with me was The Evil Dead, which was all about necromancy. And
Wow.
I just kind of went, because I lived with a forest behind me, right? And I'm thinking to myself, look in the backyard, I was thinking, oh God, I don't know. It's a bit close for comfort. Something's coming up out of the ground. That one stayed with me. I saw The Exorcist at a young age. I saw all kinds of these types of shows.
Exorcist for me was amusing.
Yeah.
But it
That's what
just
stuck with me.
yeah. I think
No.
the first film I ever watched, other than Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and
Yeah.
stuff like that, was probably Frankenstein that freaked me out.
Really?
The possibility of the dead coming back
Right.
when I was little, because my brothers are much older. I was born later in life for my
Yes.
mom. So my brothers, I was privy to a lot of television I probably shouldn't have been watching at that age, which is why I speak in defense of young minors, because I was one of those.
Right.
But I would have to say, and it's not even a paranormal film, is Black Christmas. And I was so fortunate to meet the cast because my daughter actually interviewed them for Cable 14. So I was fortunate enough to meet them at the film festival in Hamilton. A few years ago, I got to meet all of them, and it was just like a full circle moment for me. But that was more crime.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, as I got older, the entity sat with me and never left.
That one really resonated, I
Yeah.
think, as you got older because it was based on a true story and you really realized that somebody went through this for real.
Well, they shared live footage from the
Yeah.
university. Like she actually was in
Mhm.
Penn State University
That's
being
right.
observed. They
That's
rebuilt
right.
her home because this thing followed her. So I'm
Mhm.
not talking about the new entity. I'm talking about
Yeah, like the
way back.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really well done for its time. There's a lot of really interesting things out there. So before we sign off, basically I'm going to ask one quick question. Do you believe, anybody can chime in, that watching a horror movie or let's say something that has like a bit of a demonic or malevolent undertone can bring something into your space while you're watching it? So I believe in mindset too. If you're sitting there like, fuck God, like, can it? Are you sort of saying, yeah? Or
It's hard because it gives you that serotonin, that adrenaline rush.
yeah, right.
It's hard not to.
God. Yeah.
I
Yes. So Dolly says yes as well on that one. Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree that when you research something, you start to become more aware of it. I know when I started demonology classes from Bishop James, I could never get through the course.
Hmm.
Then
See,
I
I don't
worked
have-
with
I don't have
Michelle
issues
for
with
a
any of
couple
that.
of months.
Yeah.
I worked with Michelle for a couple of months. Hi, Jess.
I'm over it.
And I go through the course and I'm like, I don't have to do this course. I know it's just been a couple of months. But I remember messaging him and saying, Bishop James, and Bishop James is from the old Catholic Church,
Right.
not the Roman Catholic Church. There's a big difference. They don't answer to the Pope.
Right.
And I remember writing him and texting him or calling him and saying, I can't get through this. Like I'm starting to see things crawl up the wall. All I did was crime then.
Yes.
and some people can't understand how I can look at crime scene photos. And I couldn't understand. Remember when we first met, I'm like, I don't know how you do this. And you go, I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, okay, but we put the two together and we work well together.
Yeah, it's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy. But this is a good comment before we go, because I think it
Sure.
falls into the same idea.
Sure. Kira says not necessarily movies, but maybe people playing real EVPs and such. Thank you.
Bleeding through.
That was my pet
what
peeve.
It is.
That was my pet peeve on the TikTok thing. Yeah.
When we started, when I started researching, we used, and I still prefer this method, which is cassette tapes, only one side, so the sound doesn't bleed through. You don't play it out in the open. I use headphones. Also, same applies to photography. Anything that has a film, like Polaroids, have made a resurgence in the field, because you can't fudge a negative. The only time you can fudge a recording and you can fudge a photo is once it becomes digital, once it hits the computer. But with sound, most researchers know that you should use headphones with it so it doesn't bleed through. So thank you for making mention of that.
I think film is making a comeback because there are a lot of Instamax cameras that you can buy now.
Yes.
I think it's making a comeback.
Yes, that's what I mean. The old Polaroid idea.
Oh my gosh.
I used to have them. I used to use them avidly, and you can't fudge it.
You can't. And some of the best evidence comes up on those, and as do tape recorders, because it can't be a tape that can be recorded over, but they can tell if it's been tampered with.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is when it's imprinted on there, and you don't want anything bleeding through the other side. Only use one side.
No.
So a lot of the old school researchers will still continue to do that. I prefer it for that reason. So we are here, guys. We're heading in there. It's 10:56. I know already. Boo, boo. Everybody together. Boo. So okay. I'm gonna put two more up, but then I really guess.
Okay. Trish collects vintage cameras because they are all haunted with mostly good memories captured in time. Beautiful.
There we go.
Dolly says, I have two 35mm cameras, even for ETs. Wonderful.
That's perfect.
Yeah. It's hard to buy film, though. Wayne says, yes, we had that happen here, watching a show with demons, all sorts of noises.
All right. That's what I want to see. Everybody's booing. Yeah, boo, boo, boo. We're done. Boo. But the good news is we get to find out who's coming on next week. Yes. Hold on to your hats. Okay. So first off, we're going to go through the spiel. Thank you, guys. We don't have the guests tonight. You guys are the guests. Thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this segment with all your comments and questions. You just make it that much more fun. And we love just bouncing around with you guys. I love you back, Dolly, for real. For real.
Muchly.
Big thank you, Folgers Coffee, who do sponsor our show tonight and every night. Thank you. We appreciate you. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, Justin Snicker, for your music and your voice and your time. Thank you. If you guys want to connect with us, two ways only. You can email us directly at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. Again, theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. Or go and follow us on Facebook if you haven't. Shame on you, should be, because there's an email button there. You just click on it and it just takes you right, the shortcut right there, So that's just it. So of course we've got people who are just like completely.
I wouldn't even acknowledge it.
We don't. We just block people like that. No trolls allowed. They're just like no fun at all. So anyway, that's the easiest way to get to us. Now, next week, Wednesday night, wait for it, welcomes the return of, we consider him to be a dear friend. He's been on quite a few times. He's going to be discussing his new book series, Not From Around Here, Mr. Preston Dennett, who we all know and love. He is so much fun. Honestly, we can never get enough of him. Thursday night, for the very first time, is Todd Wilcox, and he is known as the Slipstream Shaman. And he's going to take us all onto a journey into the quantum field as he discusses how you could learn to use your natural abilities in quantum healing. What?
I'll be listening to that show.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like, wow. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to next week. And yes, thank you, Tamara. Really glad you guys love the show. So we're
Yeah, the boos are their side. They're not.
I know, right?
In case
Boo,
you come,
boo. But,
in case you're just dropping in right now.
but we love
Nothing
you. We
happens.
appreciate you, and have a fantastic weekend. And we shall see you guys next week. We'll finish off with
Love you too, Samantha.
Samantha. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Everybody behave.